All right, we've got time for probably one more call. Thank you, everybody who's been on the line. I'm sorry if we didn't get to you in time. We are going to have an after show, so if you would like to join us in Discord afterwards, we're going to hang out there for a little bit. Discord is tiny.cc/SG Discord. Make sure the S and the G are capitalized, because that matters.
It's scrolling in the lower third, and there's a link in the description.
Good. Perfect. All right, so let's talk to Mr. Cosmic from Bangladesh, because I'm super curious about this.
Okay, sounds good. I've got Mr. Cosmic queued up. Awesome.
Mr. Cosmic, thank you for joining the show today.
Thank you, guys. Eric, I'm a huge fan of you.
Aw, yay.
I love approach, and it's very appealing to me.
Thank you. I'm glad you watched. That's awesome. Wow.
And you know what? I 2 years ago I've started a show in my country.
Oh yeah.
Which airs on YouTube and Facebook.
Nice.
And it is inspired by you guys. Actually, I was a huge fan of you guys when you talked in the talk event, and man, it's an honor to talk with you guys.
Aww. Thank you. Thank you for calling in. That's really good to hear.
Yeah.
You have what seems to be a really interesting question here. Can you give a brief summary, and then we can dive in?
Sure, why not? So let's dissect the thing actually. Do you know, guys, what Mu'min means?
Mu'min? No.
Okay, Mu'min is, in simplest term, Mu'min is a subset of Muslims.
Okay.
Okay. And Mu'mins are those who follows absolute theology of Islam, all deeds of Prophet Muhammad, and what is written in Quran and Hadith. This is basically what Mu'min means. And people usually, in my country actually, people usually tag themselves as Mu'min. So there are huge number of people who identify themselves as Mu'min, and they're law-abiding good people. But in theoretical sense, when I analyze the definition in Islamic theology, it is Islamic theology is very barbaric. Islamic theology is very barbaric, and it's very inhuman religion actually. And I'm an ex-Muslim, by the way. So many atheist platforms, though they say that all Mu'min are terrorist or potential terrorist, and I highly disagree with this thing because I highly disagree with this. And when I pointed out there are lots of good people who identify themselves as Mu'min, they say they are not the true Mu'min, and here is the no true Scotsman come.
Yeah.
And I think it's a fallacy. And when I pointed out that this is a fallacy, their usual response is, no, this is not the no true Scotsman fallacy, as the no true Scotsman will happen when it is consistent with the definition. And my response is, it have to be consistent with the reality. So what do you guys think? I'm really confused about this thing.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting kind of definitional dichotomy in the no true Scotsman. Some say it's not a no true Scotsman if it is definitionally consistent. And you're saying that it's a no true Scotsman if it's inconsistent with the reality. And that's fascinating because they are different things. Yeah. I think that we come to from what you've described, Mr. Cosmic, the equivalent to a Christian culture would be maybe saying a born again Christian, right? Someone who describes themselves not just as a Christian, but as somebody who has truly been saved and is 100% faithful to the Bible. Would that be kind of like a comparison that sounds accurate?
Close, but not too close, actually.
Okay.
Can I take a stab?
Yeah, sure, man.
Sure. I think it, and to tell me if I'm wrong, but this is kind of consistent in just the way humans behave. It kind of gets to the core of why no true Scotsman is useful, right? It helps people gatekeep unwanted people out of their tribe. And so when a Christian or a Muslim or, some other individual in a group does something terrible, the tribe will say, that's not one of us. That's not representative of our group. They were never one of us, or that's, and they can be, clean of guilt. The problem here is you can't convince them otherwise. Not really. When it comes to the no true Scotsman fallacy, you can't prevent someone from gatekeeping their own tribe like that.
Well, I don't think he's talking about them gatekeeping their own tribe. This is external people claiming that this entire group are terrorists.
Okay. That's a whole lot more cut and dry.
Yeah.
That's a whole lot more cut and dry. That's bullshit.
My response is this is actually my response as well. This is very harmful, I think.
Yeah.
This is very harmful. You are identifying a particular group as a terrorist.
Yeah.
In my definition, terrorism you can only call anyone terrorist when they act like terrorists, right?
Ooh. Okay, hold on a second. Hold on.
Okay.
It feels like is there a difference to you when it comes to an endorsement of terrorism and the act of terrorism?
Can you simplify this?
Sure, absolutely. If I have a group of people and I tell them all that they should commit this horrible act of violence, and only 5 people do, are we talking about the fact that I told them they should do it, or are we only judging the people who go out and do it? Both. Okay, it seems like we should treat them separately, because the people who don't do it just have a better morality than the horrible thing that was espoused to them, right?
Wait, I'm very confused.
Sure, V, if I told you should go,
I'm too, man.
Yeah,
I'm too.
Sure. So V, no, hold on. If I told you should burn down the neighbor's house and you don't,
right?
That says a lot about you,
right?
But it also says a lot about me for telling you to do that,
right?
And so drawing the line there means that we're.
No, I think the way that you phrased that was, would you call the person telling me to burn down the building and the person who went and burned down the building both terrorists? And I would say yes.
Okay. So do you think, Mr. Cosmic, do you think that the Moomin religious ideology is a terrorist ideology? Not whether or not people act on it.
In theoretical sense, yes.
Okay.
But the thing is, the theoretical sense doesn't apply on the reality.
Right, and that's
the main issue.
Yeah, that's where we come against the reality, which is that an individual is not a definition, and you cannot point to a person and say, well, this is the definition of you, therefore that's all you are. If a person has a worldview that you disagree with, talk about that worldview, figure out why they've aligned themselves with that worldview, especially if it seems inconsistent with their moral character. But I agree. I think that on a technical level, if you grant that a definition meets the criteria, it would be a no true Scotsman, but it is also a no true Scotsman in that reality sense, where you're saying, hey, you are applying a broad label to an entire group of people because you think that everything there is reduced to a single element. And that's not how reality works. And it's not helpful. It's harmful. So I think you're spot on there. It is a no true Scotsman in the most basic sense, which is you are simplifying something to the point of harm, and you're not allowing anything to exist outside of that. And unfortunately, or fortunately in this case, reality is not that one definition. And if you're ignoring that, then that's a fallacy. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think you're spot on. It is bullshit. It is. You can't point to a person and say, because of X thing, this one thing that I'm deciding to look at, you are this thing, right? That's not how anything works. And that is ultimately the foundation of most of the problems in the world in general, is I'm going to decide that this group is this thing, And anything that is an outlier, anything that doesn't fit my narrative, I'm going to ignore or say it's not really that thing. And that's the definition of no true Scotsman.
Yeah, I think I was approaching this from the opposite side of a group policing themselves, not an outsider policing the group.
Right, and that's a different application of the same fallacy for sure. But yeah, as an outsider, the best thing to do, just in general, everyone, is to not make claims about an entire group of people. Like, that's just in general not a good practice.
Yeah, now you can make claims about a specific ideology because you can steel man it. You can say, here's what it says, here's why it's a problem,
Absolutely.
Here's where the issue is. But if you bring it directly to people, you're reducing them to, it's just not helpful.
Right, exactly. You can talk about the ideology all you want, right? You could set it up and just go at it. And I would encourage people to do that. But when you reduce a group of people to a definition and then say that anyone who doesn't meet that definition is by definition not that thing, sure, but you're not applying reality and the actual situation to that. And that's the whole point. That's the whole point of fallacies and wanting to point those out, is because we want to make sure that we're not just in it to win arguments. That's a fallacy, I win. The goal is to make sure that we are accurately representing reality to the best of our ability. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, Mr. Cosmic, does that help?
Yeah, that helped really, really a lot. Let me simplify it a little more. It have to be consistent with the reality, not the definition, right?
In this circumstance, yeah, I think so.
I think the goal. Well, that's I think that's the goal. The goal is to make sure that the definition fits reality. If you're defining something and it's not reality, then the definition needs to change.
Okay, I'm way off base. I thought, Mr. Cosmic, I thought you were saying that there's a difference between the definition and reality, and we're judging it over from one versus the other.
Well, yeah.
No, I'm. We or something. Something
sorry. I think we were both waiting for the other person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the question here is, are we calling something a no true Scotsman when the definition is the thing in conflict, or when it's in conflict with reality? And I think the important thing to draw attention to is when it is in conflict with reality. I think there are always going to be people who say, well, definitionally, it's not a no true Scotsman, therefore I win, and it's not a fallacy. But then we have the conversation, okay, well, that definition doesn't match the reality. So now we have to talk about the definition, right? If you're going to grant that, yes, really, actually, in the real world, I'm making a fallacious claim, but technically it's not fallacious, then the argument becomes, okay, well, why is there that discrepancy in the first place, and how are you using this definition in a way that is inconsistent with reality and still thinking you're winning somehow? So
that was very helpful, man.
Good. I'm glad. I'm glad you called in. Hey, we're going to go over to the Discord. If you would like, share a link to your show on YouTube in the Discord afterwards, and people can go check it out. I think it would be really interesting to take a look at.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, but it is in my language, Bengali.
Good.
I don't think that will be helpful, but I'll do it.
Well,
absolutely,
that means that anybody who speaks that or knows someone who speaks that can send that as a link, as a resource.
Yeah. We always need more of these shows in the original languages that they're... Yeah, it's so good. So good. Thank you so much for calling in, Mr. Cosmic.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
It was nice.
Yeah, I'm really excited that these kinds of shows are picking up all over the place.
Me too. It feels weirdly imperialistic to only to force people to watch this kind of show in English when they don't speak English.
Yeah.
Having that resource is wonderful.
That's really, really cool.